Well, Jalen's the best player, so just looking at what he does defensively, he picked up Luka full court. He got to the free throw line. He did everything, and that's what your best player does. Just understanding. He plays both sides, defense and offense, at a high rate, and he's been doing that the whole playoffs. I mean, when you talk about the Eastern Conference MVP, and it seems like he's continued to pick up where he left off, and so he's playing at a high rate. We just got to be a little bit more physical with him, and again, we got to keep him off the free throw line and out of the paint, because again, he was finishing at a high rate, or he was getting fouled and getting to the free throw line.
Jaylen Brown, welcome to being recognized as one of the best players in the NBA. It's about damn time people put some respect to his name. Wow, just wow. This is Sports Guy Talking that you guys are watching and listening to. I am Dustin Tran, your host, as I am here today to talk about Jaylen Brown being an incredible closer for the Celtics, as he had a strong second half in Game 3 of the 2024 NBA Finals. Jaylen Brown scored 24 points in the second half for the Celtics last night, as the Celtics are now up 3-0 in this series over the Mavericks. With that strong finish, it has now made basketball fans wonder if Jaylen Brown is the real closer of the Celtics instead of Jayson Tatum. Before I say anything else, though, I want to present you guys with a topic question. So here it is. Should Jaylen Brown win Finals MVP? After watching the NBA Finals this year after 3 games, I think the answer to this question is pretty clear. The answer to this question should clearly be yes. Jaylen Brown should win Finals MVP because he has been the most consistent player out of all the Boston Celtics players in this year's Finals. After Game 1, I was thinking, okay, Kristaps Porzingis, he could win Finals MVP this year because he dominated Game 1 big time. He was clearly the best player on the floor when he was playing for the Boston Celtics. But then in Game 2, Jrue Holiday goes off and plays great basketball for the Boston Celtics, and he had a pretty good Game 1 performance. So I'm thinking, okay, maybe this is the year Jrue Holiday wins Finals MVP. But then I go ahead and look at Game 3, and now I see it's Jaylen Brown's turn to be the best player for the Boston Celtics. And honestly, Jaylen Brown has had a good game in all of the games in the NBA Finals this year. He might not have been the best player in Game 1 and Game 2, but you look at Jaylen Brown, both sides of the floor, he played really good there. He locked down Kyrie Irving quite efficiently. He did a great job locking him up in the first 2 games. He also played good offense in Game 1 and Game 2. And then he had a great performance in Game 3 on offense. And honestly, I'm starting to question my original take of what I said about Jayson Tatum being a better basketball player than Jaylen Brown, because after watching Jaylen Brown play on the biggest stages of his NBA career, I have to now wonder if Jaylen Brown is actually the better player over Jayson Tatum. No disrespect to Jayson Tatum, but he's not the closer of the Boston Celtics. Jaylen Brown is the real closer of the Boston Celtics. You look at who won Eastern Conference Finals MVP. That was Jaylen Brown. You look at who hit the clutch shots for the Boston Celtics yesterday. That was Jaylen Brown. You look at how Jaylen Brown is always showing up in big moments, and Jayson Tatum, no disrespect to him, but he's just not quite as good as what he could be in the clutch. I'm not saying Jayson Tatum isn't clutch. He has had moments where he has been proven to be a clutch player, but if you want to talk about clutch players between Jaylen Brown and Jayson Tatum, it's clear Jaylen Brown is the more clutch player. And a lot of people have had this debate about Jaylen Brown not being a better player than Jayson Tatum, but I think Jaylen Brown has officially shut up those critics, because Jaylen Brown has done nothing but step up in big moments. And as for Jayson Tatum, he hasn't really played great basketball for the Boston Celtics. Now, did he have a great Game 3 performance for them? Definitely. I thought he balled out in the first half, and thought that if Jayson Tatum didn't show up in the first half in Game 3 of the 2024 NBA Finals, the Celtics probably would have lost Game 3. But when it came time to close, who was the closer? Was it Jayson Tatum or was it Jaylen Brown? Jaylen Brown was the real closer of the Boston Celtics. And that clip I showed you guys to start off the video was Jason Kidd claiming that Jaylen Brown was the best player on the Boston Celtics. He said that after Game 1, and a lot of people criticized Jason Kidd for saying that. But you know what? Jason Kidd was absolutely right for saying that statement, because Jaylen Brown is the best player on the Boston Celtics. I used to think that Jayson Tatum was Batman while Jaylen Brown was Robin. Well, it looks like I may have flipped those roles because Jaylen Brown has proven to be a heck of a Batman. He has done a great job elevating the Boston Celtics when it matters most. The supporting cast has been really good, and you look at how Jaylen Brown has made timely shot after timely shot. He has the clutch gene in his veins. You look at what he did against the Indiana Pacers in Game 1 of the Eastern Conference Finals. He hit that difficult three to tie the game up. It goes to overtime, and then they end up winning the game. And Jayson Tatum, even though he was clutch in overtime, he wasn't the one that hit the shot late in the fourth quarter to send that game to overtime in the first place. If I had to trust a closer between Jayson Tatum and Jaylen Brown, I'm taking Jaylen Brown over Jayson Tatum all day. And that's not disrespect to Jayson Tatum. It's just how highly I think of Jaylen Brown. I think Jaylen Brown is an absolute dog. I like that he plays on both ends of the floor. I love that he's not lazy when playing on the basketball court. And I love how he respects the game of basketball. Yeah, he might be a little too authentic when he talks, but damn, I'd rather have some authenticity from a basketball player other than some phony playing out there. And one thing you can never question about Jaylen Brown is his authenticity. He will always be authentic, maybe to a fault, but that's the kind of guy he is. And I love that Jaylen Brown gives it his all every single time he's on the court, whether he needs to score 30 on offense, whether he needs to lock down the opposing team's best defender. He does whatever it takes to win the game, and so does Jayson Tatum. And honestly, I think Jayson Tatum, Jaylen Brown, they're 1A, 1B. You could interchange both of them. It doesn't really matter either way, though. Jaylen Brown is an excellent basketball player for the Boston Celtics, and I want to talk about what happened in Game 3 last night, because you look at how the Dallas Mavericks, they had a 20-2 run in the fourth quarter. They had cut the lead down to 3 points, and they had played really good up until that point in the fourth quarter. They had that dominant stretch, but the Boston Celtics were able to win the game because Jaylen Brown hit some timely shots that were much needed for the Boston Celtics to calm down their scoring drought, because there was a period of time where the Boston Celtics could always score 2 points during an 8-minute stretch, but they found a way to get the job done. Congrats to Jaylen Brown for coming in clutch. I thought he shot the ball pretty efficiently last night. Yeah, I know his 3-ball wasn't really working well whatsoever, but his mid-range game was good. His paint game was pretty good as well. He also had 8 rebounds, 8 assists. That tells me he was doing everything that he could out there on the basketball court to help his team win the game. And remember, his plus minus was plus 13, which tells me he played really good when he was out there on the floor, and his team was winning by a lot when he was out there on the basketball court. He made more impact than any other player on the Boston Celtics. Even though Jayson Tatum did put up 31 points, I thought Jaylen Brown was the better player between him and Jayson Tatum. I thought Jayson Tatum started the game really well. He kind of cooled off towards the end of the game, but Jaylen Brown got the job done for the Boston Celtics. And because of Jaylen Brown, the Boston Celtics are now up 3-0 in this series, which, by the way, nobody in NBA history has ever blown that lead to begin with. I believe the Boston Celtics are going to end up winning the NBA Finals. As far as how I see the series playing now, I think this series is going to be a sweep unless the refs rig up the series in favor of the Mavericks in Game 4 just to extend the series. But I think the Boston Celtics, assuming the refs are not going to rig up the series, are going to go ahead and sweep the Dallas Mavericks. It just looks like the Boston Celtics have the deeper roster compared to the Dallas Mavericks. You look at how the Celtics roster is really deep in general. You've got Jayson Tatum. He's a great basketball player. You've got Jaylen Brown, who's also a great basketball player. Then you've got Jrue Holiday and Derek White, who are excellent guards for the Boston Celtics. They might not put up the best stats in the world, but they play defense and they knock down their 3-point shots, which is really all you need from guards like Jrue Holiday and Derek White, particularly when you got wing players like Jayson Tatum and Jaylen Brown. And then you've got Al Horford. He's done a great job getting rebounds for the Boston Celtics and giving hustle stats. And then, of course, you got Sam Hauser, the 3-point sniper. All he does is shoot threes, but when he shoots threes, everything seems to fall in. And Peyton Pritchard, he's an absolute dog off the bench. He doesn't really play a whole lot of minutes for the Celtics, but when he is on the floor, he gives good defense for them, which is really all the Celtics need. And then, of course, when Kristaps Porzingis is healthy, he's an excellent player for the Boston Celtics. The point is, the Boston Celtics are really talented, top to bottom. And honestly, the real MVP of the Boston Celtics should be Brad Stevens, who is the general manager of the Boston Celtics, because he was able to craft a really good roster, particularly in today's NBA where the salary cap is harder to build around compared to previous generations. And for Brad Stevens to acquire all the talent they did, congrats to Brad Stevens for that, because that is really impressive in and of itself. But as far as what I saw in Game 3, yes, Jaylen Brown absolutely confirmed that he is the Celtics closer not Jayson Tatum. Don't get me wrong, Jayson Tatum can be a good closer, but Jaylen Brown is better at that job compared to Jayson Tatum. And based on that alone, I think Jaylen Brown has got to win Finals MVP. I also think that he has been the most consistent player for the Boston Celtics in this series. He's been far more consistent than Jayson Tatum in all the games. Jaylen Brown hasn't had a bad game yet in the finals. Meanwhile, Jayson Tatum has struggled to shoot the basketball effectively in the first 2 games, although he did play better in the 3rd game. But I think Jaylen Brown has played better than Jayson Tatum in the biggest stages. And remember, Jaylen Brown was the one that won Eastern Conference Finals MVP, not Jayson Tatum. So Jaylen Brown, he's going to do his thing. He's going to continue being a great basketball player for the Boston Celtics, and they're going to get the job done. I'm really confident that the Boston Celtics are going to win Game 4. If they're not going to win Game 4, they're going to win Game 5. And Jaylen Brown, he needs to go ahead and win the Finals MVP award. If he balls out in Game 4 and the Celtics end up winning, I think Jaylen Brown has got to win Finals MVP. It's that simple in my mind. Don't overcomplicate the process, voters. So that is why Jaylen Brown should win Finals MVP, as he has been their most consistent player in the NBA Finals for the Celtics, at least through the first 3 games. Remember, go ahead and subscribe to Sports Guy Talking, like the video, and please comment down below. If you guys do that, I may shout you guys out in my Instagram story every Monday. That'll be for the @DustinNashTran Instagram account. Make sure to follow me on Instagram @DustinNashTran, and that's Sports Guy Talking. Also, go follow me on Twitter @DustinNashTran. Again, go ahead and do those things that I just told you guys to go do. Hopefully, you guys enjoyed the content that was just produced. Peace out. I hope you enjoyed that video. Want more Sports Guy Talking, the home of great sports content? Make sure you click that subscribe button to get the latest from Sports Guy Talking. Go ahead and like the video, comment down below, check the description box on the video in order to follow my Instagram and Twitter. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from the YouTube channel Sports Guy Talking.